All right, take a look at what I got. Got myself a nice, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bone rib roast, pork rib roast. So you see it's not very expensive, right? It's only like $18. And I am going to brine this and then smoke it. And then we're going to have nice smoked pork chops. It's going to be awesome. So, without further ado, I'm going to get this out of the package, rinsed, and into the brine. Alrighty. So, this is my, you know what? I didn't read how heavy it was. But this is a 21 cup container, as you can see. And I've got a gallon of brine, which, you know what? I think I'm gonna change this up. I'm gonna use a 2.5 gallon bag. Let me explain my decision here. This is a 21 cup container, and you can see that the pork is occupying a lot of space. Now I've got a gallon of brine, okay, but that whole gallon's not going to fit in here. So what I'm going to do is change it up. Here I have a 2.5 gallon bag. All right, and if I take that pork roast and pop it into the bag, now I've got plenty of room for all of my brine. Right? And now what I'm going to do, just to hold it steady, is I'm going to put it in a container like that. Now the danger of using a bag like this is that if the bones pierce the bag, we're going to have a little leak in the fridge, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'm going to keep things positioned nicely. So now I'm going to go get that brine. Okay, so what I've got here is a gallon of water, a cup of sugar, a half cup of salt, some peppercorns, some coriander seeds, a couple of bay leaves. That's it. I did not put any acid in my brine because I don't want an acid component for this particular process. And here I've got my pork, and I'm just going to pour this brine. Well, this is going to be a disaster. I can tell it's going to be a disaster. I can tell right away it's going to be a disaster. Let's see. Let me see if I start slowly. Yeah. Yeah. This is not going to work either. I need to find a different way to hold this open so that I can put all of the brine into that bag. And maybe what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do it over the sink. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, so long story short, this is all about disaster avoidance. So I'm going to keep it in this pot, in the fridge, in the bag. And the reason why it's in the bag is so that I can have it sealed shut. But the reason why it's in the pot is so that it doesn't spill over. And if that bag does puncture, I don't have a big mess in the fridge. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to keep this brine for, what is it, Saturday night. I think 3 days is enough. So what is that? Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night. So maybe Wednesday. Wednesday morning, I'm going to throw it on the smoker. I'm going to do it nice and low temperature, smoke it slow. And let's see, maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours, get some good heavy smoke on it, and I'll do it like at a low temperature. We'll figure that out. I'm going to go get all the measurements, and I'll give you the final answer on that. Alrighty, so I started brining this actually on Saturday night, and it's Friday. It's nearly a week. I'm going to smoke it. It's Friday morning. I'm going to smoke this at 200 degrees. It's about 4.5 pounds. So I'm thinking, 2 hours per pound. But I don't know if it's going to take that long because I don't want to get it all the way up to 200 degrees internal temperature. I really want it around 160. So let's see. We're going to just keep an eye and see what happens. Okay, so there's the pork roast in the pan. I'm gonna put a meat probe in there, right dead center, and then we're gonna monitor this. I want you guys to understand what's happening here. The grill is covered with ice. I've got my internal temperature of my pork at 39 degrees because it just came out. It's starting to smoke. I'm gonna show you what it looks like, right? And it's raining out, you know, it's February, but we grill. We grill year round. We smoke stuff year round. So I'm gonna come out here in about 15 minutes just to check the temperature of. Okay, so here we go. I've got the egg at 200. I have to, let's make sure, I'm gonna open the vent up just a little bit more. I don't want it to dip below 200. I wanna see if I can keep it at 200. So I'm gonna come back in 15 minutes and see if it stays steady. If it dips, I gotta get more airflow. If it goes too high, I gotta close it. And you see my pork is already at 44 degrees. So we're looking good, man. I got to get that to like 160, 170, and then we're going to have nice smoked pork chops. Okay, so you see my pork is at 88 degrees, 89 degrees already, which is pretty quick. I wasn't able to lock it in at 200, but you see it's below 250. It's about 225. So that's a good temperature. And I closed my vent all the way to there. So we're just gonna let this guy go. And, you know, when the internal temperature of that pork is 165, 170, it's coming off. I'm figuring another 5 hours. Alrighty, so you see we're holding that temperature, which is cool. I tried to close the vent even a little bit more, and you see there's nothing happening up here either, right? Nothing happening here. Okay, you see we're holding at that temperature, right? I mean, I've got my top lid closed. I closed my vent even a little bit more. And you see the internal temperature of that pork is at 127 already, and this has just been an hour. So looks like this is going to cook a little quicker than I had hoped, but that's okay. Alrighty, so I'm going to cook this not to 170, maybe to 165, but I'm at 159. That's awesome. And I did open the lid to let a little bit of the air out to cool it down a little bit in there. This way it goes a little slower. Plus I did close it all the way. So I'm going to give it another, oh look, it just jumped. I'm going to give it another 5 degrees. I'm thinking a half hour, and then that pork is coming off. Alrighty, I opened the vent a little bit. I got the temperature up a little bit. I'm at 163. You know what? I'm taking it off. I'm making a judgment call. Here it goes. Oh, look at that pork. Okay, I gotta put the camera down now, but I'll bring you inside. Okay, first thing I'm gonna do, well, I guess the first thing, yeah, let's pull out that thermometer. And I need to get utensils so I can pick this pork up. Hold on. All right, here's how I'm going to do it. Just take the rack out, put it on my board, and turn it over. And then I got to clean that roasting pan. But now you see that beautiful piece of pork on my board, and I'm going to let it rest. Probably for a good half hour at least before I do anything with it. But let's take a look. You see remember the ribs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ribs in there. That's nice, right? I'm just going to give it a cover with a little foil and let it rest. Just like that. That's it. Alrighty, so this meat has rested for, I don't know, 45 minutes or so. It's still very warm to the touch. You see some juice rendered out. It's going to be juicy when I cut it. We're not ready for dinner yet, so I'm not going to cut it just yet. I did want to mention, however, though, that it was out there for 7.5 hours. Um, so yeah, that worked out rather nicely. Look at that, how nice and brown it is on all sides. And I had a lot of smoke out there, so it's going to be a nice smoky pork roast. All right, well, it is time to enjoy a little pork roast. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to cut it at the rib, and let's see what those little pork chops, they're basically pork chops. See what they look like. Look at how beautiful they look. They're nice, clean color all the way through. And I'm just going to cut 3 because there's only 2 of us here for dinner. Put that aside, and I'm going to package that. And wow, that is like fall off the bone tender. You know what? I'm going to get a little taste of that. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Oh, man, that's so good. All right. All right, well, there it is. The pork chop, Brussels sprouts, carrots, and a stuffed mushroom. Man, oh man, it's going to be delicious in here tonight.